Hi guys, Brant here, and welcome to another commentary video. Today, I was actually not going to make a video. It's one of my days off, and I was actually going to, actually have a day off. Actually, not work on YouTube on a day off. Well, I know, wild. I'd never do that. But I was watching a stream, because, I'm a student of the game, which means that, even if I'm not, actively, always playing the game, I'm always, intaking content for the game. Because, I want to know, strats, ideas, that sort of thing. Just, always keeping an eye out. And I came across a streamer who will remain nameless to avoid drama. He was playing Killer, and he was playing the Knight. And he had a really, really frustrating game where he kind of piped off about, survivors going really hard on gens and how the survivors were sweating. But I feel like there was a flaw in his build, and it's a flaw that I actually do see pretty commonly in a lot of Killer players that I do watch. It's kind of just this misunderstanding on how slowdown works and how certain slowdowns synergize or don't synergize. And it's just basically they always get this wrong idea about how certain slowdowns work that a lot of people assume just because they slap on slowdown. That means, ergo, they're going to always get value, and they've brought strong perks, so therefore they're going to have strong things happen in the game. And that is not always the case, especially on a perk-to-perk basis with certain slowdowns. So that's something I feel like this Knight player greatly misunderstood, and we're going to talk about it today. So first, I want to cover the concept of a time to kill. So time to kill is a term that actually comes from FPS games. If you guys have played FPS games like Call of Duty, Siege like that, you're probably familiar with this. Essentially, time to kill, it is what it is. It's how long does it take for this specific gun to kill a person. Things factor into this, like the damage of the weapon, the fire rate, stuff like that. Essentially, how quick can this weapon down a player versus another weapon that you could possibly be using? Now, this is all over the place in FPS games because obviously there's so many different weapons available in the game, and they all create different times to kill. This is a little different in Dead by Daylight, because every player in Dead by Daylight gets downed in 2 hits. The only people that circumvent this are instant down killers like Billy and Bubba, but if you've played Billy or Bubba, they have to much more respect the obstacles on the map than other characters do. So that kind of, sort of evens out somewhere in the middle there. They're like, okay, well, I'm getting insta down, but I waste a lot of time as well trying to avoid walls, avoid bumping off of things, that sort of thing. So that kind of balances out at a certain point, right? But there are characters in Dead by Daylight that, despite the fact that they do not have an insta down, and they should theoretically be the same as every other killer that has to hit somebody twice, do have a long time to kill. They do have a long time to kill, and I believe Knight to be one of these characters, because if you find a team that just knows that the best counterplay to this character is to shift W, your down is essentially guaranteed, because you can zone them with the guards, and you can, obviously you come around the other way, you cut them off and flank them with your own NPC. The down is guaranteed, but, because shift W is so strong, and it is his primary, counterplay, that might take a long time. That might take a long time for that to end up happening. So his time to kill, despite it, the kill being almost guaranteed, the time to kill is pretty long. So let's take a look at the example again with the kind of perks that this Knight had brung. The Knight brought Pain Resonance, Dead Man Switch, Gift of Pain, Eruption. Do you see a problem with all 4 of these perks with a character that has a long time to down? Pain Res requires the down and the hook. Dead Man Switch requires the down and the hook. Gift of Pain requires the down and the hook. Eruption requires the down. Are you seeing a pattern here? If you have a character that is a long time to down, a long time to kill, so it's taking him a really long time to get that down, all 4 of this streamer's slowdowns were tied to downs. 3 out of 4 of these streamers' perks were tied to not just the down, but also the hook. Also hooking the survivor as well. So that's not even accounting for flashlight saves. It's not accounting for Sabo. It's not accounting for anything like that could possibly happen. So when you're playing a character like the Knight, who, for a large, amount of the match will probably have a long time to down, you are quite literally getting less value out of all of your perks here. All of your perks. If you had run this on someone, say, like Wesker, who has a relatively quick time to down because of his Virulent Bound, which is a really good anti-chase tool, you'll be getting value out of basically all these pretty frequently, right? Because your time to down is pretty short. So it's actually pretty easy to get value out of Pain Res, Dead Man Switch, Gift of Pain, Eruption, because, your time to down is not as much. With somebody like the Knight, where you could end up trying to put your guard down and they run to another tile and you chase them over there and they get hit for the first, health state, but then they run again, and then you're looping at that tile, you force them off of that tile. Like, even though all these perks are really, really strong, and they are really, really good, you're playing them on a character that it takes a while to get value out of them. So you end up in this situation where you're running really, really good perks, but they don't really fit your character. So if you're gonna run perks like Pain Resonance, Dead Man Switch, Gift of Pain, Eruption, if you're running a slowdown and the perk requires you to get the down and or the hook, you should be running them on characters that have a quick time to kill. People like say Wesker, I would say even Artist to a great extent, because Artist can just put one bird at one end and then himself at the other. Blight, obviously Nurse, you want there, but anything's good on Blight, Nurse. That's not really special about them. Blight, Nurse, that sort of thing. You want to run it on somebody who has a quick time to kill. That way they can get value out of these pretty frequently. Because what you end up doing is if you're in a situation like this where you're running all these slowdown on a killer that has a long time to kill, you're essentially, it would be better. It's almost as if you're not running 4 slowdown at all. It's almost like you're running like 1 or 2. Like you've essentially defeated the purpose of stacking on 4 slowdown, because you're getting the value so infrequently that it might as well have been you only slapped on like 1 or 2. So what would I recommend instead? Perks that don't require downs. If you're running a killer that has a low time to kill, or high time to kill rather. If you're running a killer that has a high time to kill, like it takes them a long time to get the down, run a lot of perks that just kind of work without requirements. Deadlock, Corrupt, even the current Overbrine meta. That's why the Overbrine meta is good. Is because you just kick gen and the thing go burr. that's why it's good. So it boosts a lot of killers that have that long time to kill, regardless of how fair that is. So run stuff like Deadlock, run stuff like Corrupt, run stuff like Overcharge, Call of Brine, things that you can get value out of without it necessarily being circled around getting that down, because they're not going to be getting that down as quick as other characters. And that, I'm going to say it, I say this a lot, time in DBD is gen time. Time in DBD is gen time. So if you're wasting time, it's time on gens. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's it. That's the lesson. Yeah, hopefully this helps you out there. It's a mistake I see not only that streamer that I watch, but a lot of streamers make. It's just like, well, I slapped on the 4 slowdown. Why didn't I win? It's like, well, did the slowdown you run fit the time to kill of your character? Because if it doesn't, that could be the issue. So, yeah, hopefully this helped you out there, friends. If it didn't, I don't know. Good for you, I guess. I'm glad you don't do this. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I do upload daily, though, so I will see you in the Tomorrow Zone. But if I do not, well, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.